I was standing at the kitchen counter, chopping vegetables for dinner, when my husband Brandon walked in and destroyed my life with 6 words. "It's over, Naomi. I'm with Judy." My knife stopped midair. I must have heard him wrong. I turned around slowly, hoping to see some sign that this was a bad joke. But Brandon stood there in his work suit, his face blank, like he had just told me he was running late, not that he was ending our 8-year marriage. "What did you say?" My voice came out strange, not like my own. "You heard me." He loosened his tie. "I'm in love with Judy from work. I'm moving in with her this weekend. I already packed some of my things." The knife slipped from my hand and clattered against the cutting board. My legs felt weak. This couldn't be happening. Not to us. Not to me. We had just celebrated our anniversary 2 months ago. He had held my hand across the dinner table and told me I was beautiful. "Brandon, what are you talking about? We can work through whatever this is. We can go to counseling." "I don't want counseling." His voice was cold, distant. "I haven't been happy for a long time. Judy understands me. She makes me feel alive." I grabbed the counter to steady myself. "How long? Does it matter? How long, Brandon?" He sighed like I was bothering him. "About 1.5 years. 1.5 years. While I was planning our anniversary party, he was with her. While I was supporting him through his work stress, listening to him complain every night, making his favorite meals, he was with her. While I turned down that job opportunity in Atlanta because he said we couldn't relocate right now, he was planning a future with someone else. "I want you out of my house." The words came out before I could think. "It's our house, Naomi. Both our names are on the mortgage. Get out." My voice was rising. "Get out right now." "Fine." I was leaving anyway. He turned toward the stairs. "I'll get the rest of my stuff this weekend. We can talk about dividing everything later." "There's nothing to talk about. Get a lawyer." He actually laughed. "Don't be dramatic. We can handle this like adults." I watched him walk up the stairs like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just taken a wrecking ball to everything we built. I heard him moving around in our bedroom, the bedroom where I had cried myself to sleep during my miscarriage 3 years ago while he held me. The bedroom where we had made love and made promises. All lies. 20 minutes later, he came down with 2 suitcases. He stopped at the door and looked at me. For a second, I thought he might say he was sorry, that he made a mistake, that he loved me. "I'll text you about getting the rest of my things." That was all he said. Then he walked out. I stood frozen in that kitchen for what felt like hours. The vegetables sat on the cutting board, half chopped. Dinner for 2 that would never be eaten. My phone buzzed. I picked it up with shaking hands. It was a photo from a number I didn't recognize. The picture showed Brandon and a woman with short red hair laughing together at what looked like a restaurant. She was sitting on his lap. The message below read, "He's been mine for a while now. Thanks for keeping him fed and happy at home while I got the real him. Judy." My phone slipped from my hands and cracked against the tile floor. That's when I fell apart. I slid down the kitchen cabinet and sat on the cold floor, pulling my knees to my chest. The sobs came from somewhere deep inside, painful and raw. How did I not see this? How did I not know? I thought about all the late nights he claimed he was working. All the business trips. All the times he pulled away when I tried to kiss him, saying he was tired. The way he stopped complimenting me, stopped asking about my day, stopped seeing me. When had I become invisible to my own husband? I cried until I had no tears left. Then I just sat there on the kitchen floor, staring at nothing, feeling everything inside me crack apart. The life I thought I had was gone. The future I had planned disappeared. The man I loved never really existed. But somewhere in that pain, something else started growing. Something small but sharp. Anger. Not the hot kind that burns out fast. The cold kind that hardens into something stronger. Brandon thought he could just walk away. He thought I would fall apart and make it easy for him. He thought wrong. I picked up my cracked phone from the floor. The screen still worked. I opened my contacts and scrolled to a name I hadn't called in 2 years. Simone. My best friend from college who I had lost touch with because Brandon said she was a bad influence. The phone rang 3 times before she answered. "Naomi? Is that really you?" "Simone," my voice cracked. "I need help. I'm on my way. Send me your address." 30 minutes later, my best friend was sitting on my kitchen floor with me, holding my hand while I told her everything. And for the first time since Brandon walked out that door, I didn't feel completely alone. "You're going to get through this," Simone said fiercely. "And you're going to come out stronger. I promise you that." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Because the alternative was letting Brandon and Judy win. And I was done losing. The next morning, I woke up on the couch where I had fallen asleep after Simone left. For one blessed second I forgot what happened. Then reality crashed back in heavy and suffocating. Brandon was gone. My marriage was over. My husband was with another woman. I grabbed my phone and saw 12 missed calls. 3 from Brandon. 9 from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored them all and went to the bathroom. The woman in the mirror looked like a stranger. Red eyes. Swollen face. Hair a mess. This was what betrayal looked like. I splashed cold water on my face and made a decision. I needed to know everything. Not just what Brandon told me. The whole truth. I went to our home office and opened Brandon's laptop. He never changed his password because I had never given him a reason not to trust me. The irony burned. His email opened easily. I started scrolling, my heart pounding. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. An email folder titled J that wasn't in his main inbox. I clicked it open. Hundreds of emails. I started reading from the oldest ones and my stomach turned. The affair started 2 years ago, not a year and a half like he claimed. 2 years of secret messages. 2 years of planning meetups. 2 years of him telling her he loved her while coming home to me. I read email after email, watching my marriage die in real time through words on a screen. Can't wait to finally be free of her, Brandon had written 6 months ago. Naomi is so boring. All she does is work on her little art projects. She doesn't even try anymore. My little art projects. The graphic design work I did from home so I could be available for him. So I could make his dinner and listen to his problems and be the perfect supportive wife. Another email, this one from 3 months ago. Judy asked when I'm leaving. I told her soon. I just need to figure out the money situation first. Naomi doesn't work a real job, so she probably can't afford to keep the house. Maybe I can get her to sell it and split everything quickly. I felt sick. This wasn't just an affair. This was calculated. He had been planning his exit strategy while I believed we were building a life together. I kept reading. There were emails about trips they took together. A weekend in Miami I thought he spent at a work conference. A week in California I thought was a business deal. All lies. Then I found the photos. Pictures of them together. At beaches. In hotel rooms. Kissing. Her wearing what looked like expensive jewelry. Jewelry I never got because Brandon always said we needed to save money. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely click the mouse. I wanted to stop reading but I couldn't. I needed to see it all. Every ugly truth. An email from Judy to Brandon dated 2 weeks ago. I'm tired of waiting. You promised you'd leave her after your anniversary. That was 2 months ago. Either you tell her this week or I will. So that's why he finally did it. Not because he grew a conscience. Because his mistress gave him an ultimatum. I printed everything. Every email. Every photo. Every message. The printer hummed for 20 minutes, spitting out page after page of evidence. Then I opened his text messages. More of the same. But I also found a group chat that made my blood run cold. It was Brandon with 3 of his friends. Our friends? Couples we had dinner with. Did you tell Naomi yet? One friend, Pete, had asked yesterday. Yeah, finally done. Judy was about to lose it on me, Brandon replied. How'd she take it? Cried like I expected. She'll be fine. Probably better off without me anyway. LOL. He had written LOL after destroying me. Another friend, Curtis, wrote, Man, I knew about you and Judy for like a year. Surprised it took you this long. They all knew. Our friends knew and nobody told me. I had smiled at these people. Invited them into our home. And they watched me be made a fool. I grabbed my phone and deleted every single one of them from my contacts. Then I blocked Brandon's number. If he wanted to talk to me, he could do it through a lawyer. My phone rang. It was my sister Chantel. I answered. Naomi, oh my God, I just heard. Are you okay? How did you find out? Jessica called me. Jessica was Curtis's wife. One of the friends who knew. Did you know? I asked quietly. What? Oh. I swear to you, Naomi, I had no idea. Jessica just told me this morning. She said Curtis told her last night. I'm so sorry. I'm coming over right now. No, it's okay. I need to think. You shouldn't be alone. I'm not alone anymore, I said, meaning it. I'm finally seeing clearly. After we hung up, I sat at the desk surrounded by printed evidence of my husband's double life. And that's when I made my second decision of the day. I wasn't going to fall apart. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to make this easy for Brandon. You wanted out of our marriage? Fine. But he was going to pay for what he did. Not with violence or revenge in the way he'd expect. No, this would be smarter. Legal. Complete. I picked up my phone and searched for divorce lawyers. I found one with excellent reviews, A woman named Patricia Okonkwo who specialized in making cheating spouses regret their choices. I called and got an appointment for tomorrow morning. Then I went through every bank statement, every credit card bill, every document I could find. I made copies of everything. I found receipts for expensive hotels, charges at jewelry stores I never benefited from, evidence of Brandon funding his affair with our joint money. By the time the sun set, I had built a case file. Not just evidence of the affair, but evidence of financial infidelity too. He had been spending our money on her while telling me we needed to budget. I looked at the stack of papers on the desk and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. I had spent so long making myself smaller, quieter, easier. I had given up pieces of myself to make Brandon happy. No more. Simone called to check on me. "How are you holding up?" "Better than you'd think," I said. "I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow." "That's my girl. Don't let him think he can just walk away from this without consequences." "Oh, he's going to learn there are always consequences." After I hung up, I walked through our house looking at it with new eyes. Every piece of furniture we picked out together. Every photo on the wall. Every memory attached to these rooms. This house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a crime scene. The scene of my stolen years. But I wasn't the victim. Not anymore. Brandon thought leaving was his victory. He thought he was walking away to his happy ending with Judy while I stayed behind, broken and sad. He had no idea what was coming. I smiled for the first time in 2 days. Not a happy smile. A knowing one. The game had just begun and I was playing to win. The lawyer's office was on the 15th floor of a glass building downtown. I sat in the waiting room, clutching my folder of evidence, trying not to throw up from nerves. Naomi Jefferson? A woman in a sharp navy suit appeared. Patricia Okonkwo was tall and elegant, with silver streaks in her natural hair and a presence that commanded respect. I followed her to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. She gestured for me to sit. "Tell me everything," she said, pulling out a legal pad. So I did. I told her about Brandon's announcement, about Judy, about the emails and texts and lies. I showed her my printed evidence. She went through it carefully, making notes, her expression getting sharper with each page. "This is good," she said finally. "Very good. Your husband was stupid enough to leave a clear trail. That helps us considerably. What happens now? Now we file for divorce on grounds of adultery. We're also going to go after a larger share of marital assets due to his financial infidelity. He spent joint funds on this affair. Hotels, gifts, trips. That money should have been invested in your marriage. Can we really do that?" Patricia looked at me with fierce eyes. "Mrs. Jefferson, your husband didn't just cheat on you emotionally. He stole from your marriage financially. He wasted marital assets on an affair. In this state, judges don't look kindly on that. We're going to make sure you get what you deserve." Something in my chest loosened. Someone was fighting for me. Someone believed I deserved better. "There's something else," Patricia said. "I need you to be prepared. This is going to get ugly. He's going to try to paint you as bitter or vindictive. He's going to minimize what he did. Men like your husband always do. Let him try." Patricia smiled. "Good. Now, I need you to do something for me. I need you to go home and make a list of everything you gave up for this marriage. Jobs you didn't take. Dreams you postponed. Friendships you let fade. Write it all down. Why? Because you need to remember who you were before you became his wife. That woman is still in there, Naomi. It's time to let her out." I left the lawyer's office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. On the drive home, I thought about Patricia's assignment. What had I given up? The job in Atlanta. That was the big one. An amazing opportunity with a major design firm, but Brandon said he couldn't leave his company. So I stayed. My freelance design business that was just starting to take off. Brandon said it was too risky, that we needed his stable income. So I took on fewer clients, smaller projects, safe work. My friends. Simone wasn't the only one. There was Keisha from my old job, Tasha from my yoga class, Nina from church. Brandon always found reasons why I shouldn't spend time with them. They were too loud, too opinionated, bad influences. Eventually I stopped trying. My painting. I used to paint for hours, losing myself in colors and textures. Brandon called it a hobby, said it was a waste of time if I wasn't selling anything. So my canvases gathered dust in the garage. Even my hair. I used to wear it natural, big and free. Brandon preferred it straight, said it looked more professional. So I spent hours and money straightening it, pressing it flat, making it acceptable. I had erased myself piece by piece to fit into his life. And he left anyway. When I got home, I walked past the kitchen where he broke my heart and went straight upstairs to our bedroom. His side of the closet was half empty. I pulled out every piece of clothing he left behind and threw it in garbage bags. Then I went to the bathroom and opened every drawer, throwing out his products, his cologne, every trace of him. In the medicine cabinet, I found a box of hair relaxer. I looked at it for a long moment, then threw it in the trash. I walked to the hallway mirror and stared at my reflection. My hair was pulled back in a tight bun, smooth and controlled. My clothes were neutral colors, modest cuts, nothing that drew attention. Who was this woman? I pulled the pins from my hair and let it fall loose around my shoulders. It was shorter than I liked, damaged from years of heat and chemicals, but it was mine. I went to the garage and dug through boxes until I found what I was looking for. My old art supplies. Paints and brushes I hadn't touched in 3 years. I carried them back inside and set up in the dining room. I didn't have a plan, didn't have a vision. I just started painting. Colors exploded onto the canvas. Deep blues and bright oranges and electric purples. Bold strokes, angry slashes, beautiful chaos. I painted for hours, not thinking, just feeling. When I finally stepped back, I saw what I had created. A woman made of fire and flowers, breaking free from chains, reaching toward the sky. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. It was me. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Naomi, it's Brandon. Stop being childish. We need to talk about the house and finances. Call me. I deleted it without responding. Another text came through, this time from Simone. How did it go with the lawyer? Good. Really good. She's filing the papers this week. Proud of you. Want to go out Friday night? Some of our old crew is getting together. Our old crew. The friends I lost when I became Mrs. Brandon Jefferson. Yes. I'm in. I looked at the painting again. That woman on the canvas, fierce and free, was a reminder of who I used to be. Who I could be again. For 8 years I had lived in Brandon's shadow. I had made myself smaller so he could feel bigger. I had silenced my dreams so his could be louder. But Brandon was gone now. And in his absence I had room to grow. I spent the rest of the evening writing the list Patricia asked for. By the time I finished, I had filled 3 pages. 3 pages of sacrifices. 3 pages of pieces of myself I gave away. But I was taking them back. Every single one. At midnight, I looked at myself in the hallway mirror one more time. The woman staring back at me was different from the one I saw that morning. Her eyes were clearer. Her jaw was set. She looked ready for battle. Hello, I whispered to my reflection. It's good to see you again. And somewhere in that moment, I understood something important. Brandon didn't break me when he left. He freed me. Friday night came faster than I expected. I stood in front of my closet, realizing I owned nothing worth wearing out. Everything was conservative, boring, safe. The kind of clothes that didn't make statements. I grabbed my keys and drove to the mall. In the first store I picked out a dress. Red. Fitted. The kind of dress that demanded attention. The kind of dress Brandon would have hated. I bought it without trying it on. At home I did my makeup differently. Bolder. A deep berry lipstick I found in the back of a drawer, never worn because Brandon said it was too much. Gold eyeshadow that made my brown skin glow. I left my hair natural, still short but free. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. And I loved it. Simone picked me up at 8. She took one look at me and let out a whistle. Look at you. That's the Naomi I remember. I feel like myself for the first time in years. Good. Tonight we celebrate you. The bar was in a part of downtown I hadn't been to in forever. Music poured out onto the street. Inside, I saw faces I hadn't seen in years. Tasha, Nina, even Keisha, who had moved back to town 6 months ago. They all hugged me and I realized how much I had missed them. How much I had missed feeling connected to people who actually saw me. Girl, we heard what happened, Tasha said. I'm so sorry. Don't be. I'm not. They looked surprised. Really? Nina asked carefully. Really? That man did me a favor. I just didn't know it yet. We found a booth and ordered drinks. For the first time in years, I wasn't checking my phone every 5 minutes. I wasn't worried about getting home at a certain time. I wasn't performing the role of perfect wife. I was just Naomi. So what's next for you? Keisha asked. I'm rebuilding my design business. Taking on real clients again, not just safe projects. That's amazing. What kind of design? Branding, websites, graphics. I used to love it before. I trailed off. Before Brandon made you believe it wasn't important, Simone finished. I nodded. Yeah. But I'm done letting anyone make me feel small. Speaking of your business, Tasha said, leaning forward. My company is looking for someone to redesign our entire website and brand materials. It's a big project. Interested? I stared at her. Are you serious? Completely serious. I've been trying to convince my boss to hire you for months, but you weren't taking new clients. Are you now? Yes. Absolutely yes. We exchanged information and Tasha promised to set up a meeting. Just like that, I had a potential major client. My first real project in over a year. The night flowed easily. We talked and laughed and danced. At one point, a man asked me to dance and I said yes without overthinking it. We danced to 2 songs, nothing serious, just fun. When I came back to the table, my friends were grinning. That was good for you, Simone said. It was just dancing. It was you remembering you're allowed to have fun. She was right. For so long, I had forgotten what joy felt like without guilt attached to it. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Brandon. Again. He had been calling and texting all week and I hadn't answered once. Is that him? Simone asked, seeing my face change. Yeah. What does he want? I opened the message. He wants to meet tomorrow to talk about splitting assets. Says we should do this without lawyers to save money. Don't do it, Nina said immediately. That's a trap. I know. My lawyer told me not to communicate with him directly. Everything goes through her now. I forwarded Brandon's message to Patricia with a note. He's still trying to talk to me directly. She responded within minutes. Ignore him. I'll handle it. Enjoy your night. I put my phone away and ordered another drink. I'm proud of you, Simone said quietly. You're handling this better than anyone expected. I'm handling it better than I expected, I admitted. I thought I'd fall apart. I thought I'd beg him to come back. But the truth is I don't want him back. Not even a little bit. Why do you think that is? I thought about it. Because I'm starting to see that my marriage wasn't making me happy. I was just so busy trying to be what he wanted that I didn't notice I was miserable. Now that he's gone, I feel lighter. That's growth, Tasha said, raising her glass. To Naomi's new life. We all clinked glasses. Later, when Simone dropped me off at home, she hugged me tight. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. I'm starting to believe that. Inside my house, I kicked off my heels and looked around. The garbage bags full of Brandon's stuff were still piled by the door. Tomorrow I'd throw them out. I changed into comfortable clothes and sat down with my laptop. My old portfolio website was outdated, filled with small projects I wasn't proud of. Time to change that. I worked until 3 in the morning, redesigning my entire professional presence. New logo, new layout, new mission statement. I included the painting I had done earlier in the week, the woman breaking free. It felt right. By the time I went to bed, I had sent proposals to 5 potential clients. Not just any clients. Dream clients. The kind of work that challenged me, that meant something. Sunday morning, I met with Patricia again. She had news. Brandon's lawyer reached out. They want to settle quickly. They're offering you 40% of assets. 40%? We were married for 8 years. Exactly. They're lowballing you, hoping you'll take it to avoid a fight. We're not taking it. What do we counter with? 60%. With documentation of his financial infidelity and the fact that you sacrificed career opportunities for the marriage, I think we can get it. Also, I want to go after his retirement accounts. Can we do that? Patricia smiled. Watch me. Over the next week, Patricia sent letter after letter to Brandon's lawyer. Each one detailed exactly what we wanted and why we deserved it. Brandon was probably losing his mind. Good. Meanwhile, my life was expanding in ways I hadn't imagined. Tasha's company hired me for the rebrand. 2 other potential clients said yes. My calendar was filling up with actual work. I also hired a hairstylist who specialized in natural hair care. She cut off all the damaged ends and helped me start fresh. My hair was shorter, but it was healthy and it was mine. I joined a gym, not because I thought I needed to change my body, but because I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to take up space without apologizing. Every day, I looked in the mirror and recognized myself more. And every day, Brandon's absence felt less like a loss and more like a gift. 2 weeks after that night at the bar, I woke up and realized I hadn't cried in days. Hadn't thought about what Brandon was doing or who he was with. I was too busy building my own life. The foundation was set. Now it was time to build something beautiful. 3 weeks into my new life, I woke up before my alarm for the first time in years. Not from stress or anxiety, but from excitement. I had a pitch meeting with a major nonprofit that afternoon, and I couldn't wait to show them what I could do. I went for a run before breakfast, something I never did when I was with Brandon. He always slept late on weekends and wanted me there when he woke up. Now my mornings were mine. The air was cool and clean. I ran past the park where Brandon and I used to walk back when we still did things together. I didn't feel sad seeing it. I just kept running. At home, I showered and stood in front of my closet. It was slowly filling with new pieces. Clothes that made me feel confident and beautiful. I chose a tailored jumpsuit in emerald green. Professional but bold. My phone buzzed. An email from one of the clients I'd pitched last week. They wanted to move forward. That made 4 active projects. 4 incomes. 4 reasons to smile. I was building something real. The meeting with the nonprofit went better than I imagined. They loved my ideas. They loved my energy. By the end of our conversation, they had signed a contract for a full brand refresh. The biggest project I had ever landed. I called Simone from my car, barely able to contain my excitement. They said yes. 6 months of work, great pay, and it's for a cause I believe in. Naomi, that's incredible. See, I told you this was going to be your year. I'm starting to believe it. We need to celebrate properly. Dinner tomorrow night? I'm in. That night, I sat in my home office, which used to be just a corner of the guest room. I had moved things around, claimed the whole space. My desk faced the window now, overlooking the backyard. I had hung my paintings on the walls. This was my space. I was updating my project timeline when my phone rang. Brandon. I stared at his name on the screen. I hadn't answered a single call from him since he left. Everything went through Patricia. But something made me pick up. Hello. Naomi. His voice sounded tired. You finally answered. What do you want, Brandon? You're supposed to communicate through my lawyer. I know, but this is getting ridiculous. Your lawyer is asking for way too much. You're being unreasonable. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm being unreasonable? You cheated on me for 2 years. It wasn't 2 years. It was. I have the emails, Brandon. I have everything. So don't try to rewrite history now. Silence on the other end. What do you want from me? He finally asked. I want what I deserve. You used our money to fund your affair. You made me give up career opportunities. You wasted years of my life. So yes, I want 60%. I want my share of your retirement. I want the house. The house. Naomi, be realistic. I need somewhere to live. You should have thought about that before you moved in with Judy. How's that working out, by the way? More silence. We're not discussing my relationship with Judy. No, we're not. We're not discussing anything. Tell your lawyer to accept my terms or this goes to court. And trust me, Brandon, you don't want this to go to court. I have evidence of everything. Your affair, your spending, your lies. A judge is going to love that. You've changed. His voice had an edge now. Yes, I have. Goodbye, Brandon. I hung up before he could respond and immediately blocked his number. He could speak to Patricia from now on. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From power. I had stood up to him. I hadn't cried or begged. I had stated my terms and held my ground. I texted Patricia. Brandon just called me directly. I told him to go through you. Blocking his number now. She responded, perfect. Let him be desperate. The next few weeks were a blur of productivity. I worked on my new projects during the day. In the evenings, I took a dance class Simone convinced me to try. Afrobeat dance. My body remembered rhythms I had forgotten existed. I also started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand how I lost myself in the first place. My therapist, Dr. Nia Williams, was patient and insightful. You're not uncommon, she told me in our 3rd session. Many women become smaller in relationships without realizing it. They accommodate and adjust until they're living someone else's life. How do I make sure I never do that again? By staying connected to yourself. By having non-negotiables. By remembering that you're complete on your own. I wrote those words in my journal that night. Complete on my own. My calendar was full now. Client meetings, design deadlines, dance classes, therapy, dinners with friends. I was busier than I had been in years, but it was different. This busyness was for me. One Saturday morning, I woke up and decided to do something I had been putting off. I drove to the storage unit where I had kept some of my old paintings, the ones from before I met Brandon. The unit smelled like dust and memories. I found the boxes labeled Naomi's Art, and started opening them. Canvas after canvas of work I had forgotten about. Bold colors, strong subjects, pieces that showed who I was before I learned to make myself smaller. They were good. Really good. Why did I stop? Alright. Because Brandon said it wasn't practical. Because he needed my attention. Because I learned to believe my dreams were less important than his comfort. I loaded everything into my car and drove home. I spent the entire day reorganizing my house. The guest room became my art studio. I set up an easel by the window. I hung my old paintings on the walls. This house was mine now. Every room reflected who I was becoming. Sunday evening, Simone came over to see my studio. She walked around slowly, looking at each painting. "Naomi, these are incredible. Why haven't you been showing these?" "I forgot they existed." She looked at me with understanding. "You forgot you existed?" "Yeah. But you remember now?" "Yeah. I do." We ordered pizza and sat in my studio talking about dreams and futures. Simone was planning to open her own salon. She had been saving for years. "Why didn't you tell me before?" I asked. "Because I did tell you. 3 years ago. But you were so deep in Brandon's world that you didn't hear me. The truth of that hurt. I had been so absorbed in being Brandon's wife that I stopped being a good friend." "I'm sorry, Simone. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. You're here now. That's what matters." We spent the rest of the night planning. Her salon. My business. The future we were both building. Later, alone in my house, I walked through each room feeling something I couldn't quite name. It took me a while to recognize it. My phone buzzed with an email from Patricia. Brandon's lawyer had responded to our latest counter. They were willing to go to 55%. "We're getting closer," Patricia wrote. "Don't accept yet. Let them sweat." I smiled. This was a game of patience now, and I had all the time in the world. Because while Brandon was probably stressed about the divorce and trying to make things work with Judy, I was thriving. I was painting and creating and building a business. I was dancing and laughing and remembering who I was. The butterfly wasn't just emerging. She was learning to fly. The mediation was scheduled for Thursday morning at Patricia's office. I dressed carefully that day, choosing a black suit that made me feel powerful. I put on the diamond earrings my grandmother left me, the ones I never wore because Brandon said they were too flashy. I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back was strong. "Ready." Patricia met me in the lobby. "Remember, don't let him see any emotion. We have the upper hand here. His affair is documented, his financial infidelity is clear. We're in a good position." "I'm ready." We walked into the conference room. Brandon was already there with his lawyer, a middle-aged man in an expensive suit who looked bored. Brandon's eyes widened when he saw me. I knew why. I looked different. Confident. Healthy. Happy. "Naomi," Brandon started. "Let's keep this professional," Patricia cut in. "We're here to discuss settlement terms." We all sat down. The mediator, a neutral third party, explained the process. Then Patricia laid out our position. "My client is asking for 60% of marital assets, including the house, 50% of Mr. Jefferson's retirement accounts, and compensation for career opportunities she missed during the marriage." Brandon's lawyer shook his head. "That's excessive. My client has been more than fair, offering 55%. "Your client had a 2-year affair that he funded with marital money," Patricia said calmly. "We have documentation of hotels, gifts, trips, all paid for with joint accounts. That's financial infidelity. Your client also discouraged Mrs. Jefferson from pursuing lucrative career opportunities so she could support his needs. She sacrificed her earning potential for a marriage he was actively betraying." Brandon shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His lawyer looked less bored now. "We're willing to settle at 58%, Patricia continued. "Final offer." "That's not reasonable," Brandon's lawyer argued, but his heart wasn't in it. He knew they were caught. "Then we go to court," Patricia said simply. "And trust me, a judge will see these emails and text messages. Your client telling his mistress that he couldn't wait to be free. Your client calling his wife boring. Your client planning his exit strategy while still living in the marital home. That won't play well." Brandon's face went red. He looked at me, maybe hoping to see the soft woman who would back down to keep the peace. That woman was gone. "Naomi, come on," Brandon said, breaking protocol. "This is crazy. We can work this out between us." "No," I said quietly. "We can't. You made sure of that when you chose Judy. I made a mistake, okay? I admit it. But you're being vindictive." "I'm being fair. There's a difference." "Fair? You want to take everything." "I want what I deserve after 8 years of putting you first. After turning down jobs for you. After making your life comfortable while you made me feel invisible. That's not vindictive. That's justice." Patricia smiled slightly. I had said exactly what we discussed. The mediator called for a break. Brandon and his lawyer went into the hallway to talk. I stayed seated, drinking water, calm. "You're doing great," Patricia whispered. He's rattled. Good. 20 minutes later they came back. Brandon looked defeated. We accept 58% of assets, his lawyer said tiredly. My client keeps his car and personal belongings. Mrs. Jefferson gets the house. And the retirement accounts? Patricia pressed. Pause. 50%. Agreed. We'll draw up the papers. Just like that it was done. I got the house. I got more than half of everything we built. I got my fair share of his retirement. I got justice. Brandon stood to leave. At the door he turned back. I hope you're happy, Naomi. I am, I said. For the first time in years I really am. His face did something complicated. Then he left. Patricia packed up her briefcase. That went even better than I expected. You were perfect in there. Thank you. For everything. My pleasure. Give me 2 weeks to finalize the paperwork, and you'll be officially divorced. Officially divorced. The words should have hurt. Instead they felt like freedom. I walked out of that building into bright sunshine. My phone immediately buzzed with texts from Simone, asking how it went. We won, I typed back. House is mine. Everything we asked for. Yes. Dinner tonight to celebrate. My treat. I spent the afternoon in my studio painting. This time I painted a woman standing on top of a mountain, arms stretched wide, claiming her space. The sky behind her was every color imaginable. No limits. No boundaries. That evening Simone and I went to a nice restaurant. We ordered champagne. To your victory, Simone toasted. To freedom, I corrected. We clinked glasses. So what's next? She asked. I keep building. My business is doing well. I have more projects lined up than I can handle. I might need to hire help soon. That's incredible, Naomi. You've completely turned your life around in just a couple of months. It doesn't feel like turning around. It feels like coming back to myself. Even better. We talked about her salon plans. She had found a location and was working on financing. I offered to design her logo and branding for free, as a thank you for standing by me. You don't have to do that, she protested. I want to. You were there when I needed you most. Let me be there for you now. She hugged me tight. Deal. Later that night, alone in my house, I walked through each room. The bags of Brandon's stuff were long gone. The photos of us were packed away. The space felt lighter now. I had done something I never thought I'd do. I had stood up to Brandon. I had fought for myself. And I had won. But the real victory wasn't the house or the money. It was realizing I didn't need him. I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was complete on my own. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Judy. We need to talk. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it and blocked the number. Whatever she wanted to say, I didn't need to hear it. That chapter of my life was closed. I had new chapters to write. Better ones. Chapters where I was the main character in my own story, not just a supporting role in someone else's. I went to bed that night feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Proud of myself. I didn't think about Judy's text for the next few days. I was too busy living my life to worry about hers. My business was exploding. The nonprofit project was going incredibly well, and they had already referred me to 2 other organizations. I hired an assistant, a recent graduate named Taylor who was eager and talented. Watching her excitement reminded me why I loved this work in the first place. I can't believe I get to work with you, Taylor said during our first week together. Your portfolio is amazing. Thank you. And thank you for helping me keep up with all of this. Are you kidding? Thank you for the opportunity. Her enthusiasm was contagious. I found myself taking on even more ambitious projects, pushing my creativity further than I had in years. One afternoon Simone called. You won't believe what I just heard. What? Brandon and Judy are fighting. Like really fighting. Tasha's cousin works at their office and apparently, they had a huge argument in the parking lot yesterday. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead I felt nothing. That's their problem. You don't even care a little bit? Honestly? No. I'm too busy to think about Brandon's drama. Look at you, completely moved on. I love it. But the universe apparently wanted me to pay attention because 2 days later, I ran into Judy at the grocery store. I was in the produce section picking out tomatoes when I heard someone say my name. I turned and there she was. Judy. Short red hair exactly like in the photos. She looked tired. Naomi, I need to talk to you. No, you don't. I turned back to the tomatoes but she stepped closer. Please. Just 5 minutes. I don't owe you anything, Judy. Especially not 5 minutes of my time. I know you hate me. You have every right. But you need to know the truth about Brandon. I put down the tomato I was holding and looked at her directly. I already know the truth. He's a cheater and a liar. I don't need you to tell me that. It's worse than you think. I don't care. Her eyes filled with tears. He lied to me too. He told me you two barely talked anymore. That you were more like roommates. He said you didn't love him. And you believed him? You never thought to question why a married man was so available? She flinched. I know how it looks. I know I was wrong. But I thought he really loved me. Did you think that when you sent me that photo of you sitting on his lap? When you texted me he's been mine for a while? Was that love? Her face went red. I was angry. He kept saying he was going to leave you, but he never did. I wanted to force his hand. Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted. Now leave me alone. I grabbed my shopping basket and walked away. She called after me, but I didn't turn around. In my car, my hands shook on the steering wheel. Not from pain. From anger. The audacity of her to approach me. To ask for my time. To expect my sympathy. I drove home and called Patricia. Judy just approached me at the grocery store. What did she want? To tell me Brandon lied to her too, apparently. To make me feel sorry for her. Did you engage? Barely. I told her to leave me alone and walked away. Good. Don't communicate with her at all. Nothing she says matters. I know. It just threw me off. That's normal. But remember, you're almost free of both of them. The divorce papers will be ready next week. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen trying to process what just happened. Judy looked miserable. She probably thought I'd feel vindicated. But I didn't feel anything. Not satisfaction, not sympathy, nothing. They were both part of a life I was leaving behind. That weekend I had dinner with Chantel, my sister. She had been checking in regularly, making sure I was okay. You look amazing, she said when she saw me. Seriously, you're glowing. I feel good. Really good. I'm so proud of you. When Brandon first left, I was worried you'd fall apart. So was I admitted. But falling apart would have meant he won. I wasn't going to give him that. Smart. So, is there anyone new in your life? No, and I'm not looking. I'm enjoying being by myself. Good. You deserve time to just be you. We ordered wine and appetizers. Chantel told me about her kids, her job, her life. It felt good to just be sisters again, not having to pretend my marriage was perfect. Can I ask you something? Chantel said carefully. Were you happy with Brandon? Before the affair, I mean. I thought about it honestly. No, I don't think I was. I was comfortable. I was used to it. But happy? No. Why did you stay? Because I thought I was supposed to. Because I thought marriage meant sacrifice. Because I convinced myself that what I wanted didn't matter as much as what he needed. That's not marriage. That's martyrdom. I know that now. My phone buzzed. An email from Brandon's lawyer. I opened it, expecting something about the divorce papers. Instead, it was a message asking if I would be willing to delay signing the papers. Brandon apparently wanted more time to reconsider some terms. I forwarded it to Patricia with one word, no. She responded, on it. Chantel saw my face. Let me guess. Brandon? He wants to delay the divorce. Why? Who knows? Maybe things with Judy aren't working out and he's having second thoughts. Would you take him back? I didn't even have to think about it. Never. Not even if he begged. Not even if he promised to change. That door is closed and locked. Good. You deserve so much better. Later that night, Patricia called me. Brandon's lawyer says Brandon wants to talk to you directly. He's asking for a meeting. No. That's what I told them. But he's being insistent. Apparently, he has something important to tell you. I don't care what he has to say. Everything gets communicated through you. That's what lawyers are for. Agreed. I just wanted you to know he's trying. Let him try. The answer is still no. After we hung up, I thought about what Judy said at the store. That it was worse than I thought. That Brandon had lied to her too. I didn't care about Judy's feelings, but I was curious what she meant. What could be worse than a 2-year affair? Then I stopped myself. It didn't matter. Brandon's lies and manipulations weren't my concern anymore. Whatever was happening between him and Judy was their problem. I had spent enough time thinking about Brandon. I had spent enough energy trying to understand why he did what he did. The only person who deserved my attention now was me. I went to my studio and painted until late. This time, I painted a woman walking away from a burning building, not looking back. The flames were bright and destructive, but the woman was calm, steady, free. The building could burn. She was already gone. The divorce papers arrived on a Wednesday morning. Patricia had them delivered to my house by courier. I signed them sitting at my kitchen table, the same table where Brandon told me he was leaving. The irony wasn't lost on me. My hand didn't shake. I felt no sadness, no second thoughts. Just relief. I was free. I sent the signed papers back with the courier and called Patricia. It's done. I signed. Congratulations, Naomi. As soon as Brandon signs his copy, which he has to do by Friday, you're officially divorced. Thank you. For everything. It was my pleasure. Watching you find your strength throughout this process has been inspiring. After we hung up, I sat quietly for a moment. 8 years of marriage, ending with a signature on paper. It should have felt bigger somehow. More dramatic. Instead, it just felt right. I went to my studio and worked on my current project, a complete rebrand for a women's health clinic. The work was challenging and meaningful. I lost myself in colors and layouts, in creating something beautiful from nothing. Taylor knocked on my door around noon. Sorry to interrupt, but you got a huge delivery. What kind of delivery? Flowers. Like a lot of flowers. I went to the living room and found 3 massive bouquets covering my coffee table. The card attached to the biggest one read, "Please talk to me. I made a mistake. Brandon." I handed the card to Taylor without a word and grabbed my phone. Patricia, Brandon just sent flowers to my house. He's getting desperate. His lawyer told me this morning that things with Judy aren't going well. I think he's realizing what he lost. Too late. Exactly. What do you want to do about the flowers? I'm throwing them out. Perfect response. I took all 3 bouquets and put them directly in my outside trash bin. Then I blocked Brandon's flower delivery account so he couldn't send more. Taylor watched with wide eyes. That was stone cold. That was self-respect. The rest of the week was busy in the best way. I landed another major client, a local restaurant group that wanted me to redesign their entire brand across 5 locations. The contract was bigger than anything I'd done before. I also received an invitation to speak at a design conference next month. They wanted me to talk about building a freelance business. Me. Speaking at a conference. You have to do it, Simone said when I told her. This is huge. I'm terrified of public speaking. So, you were terrified of leaving Brandon too, and look at you now. You're unstoppable. She was right. I accepted the speaking invitation. Friday afternoon, Patricia called with news. Brandon signed the papers this morning. You're officially divorced. I had expected to feel something dramatic in this moment. Joy, sadness, relief, anger. Something big. Instead, I felt light. Like I had been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. Thank you, Patricia. Truly. Go celebrate your freedom. You earned it. That night, my house was full of people. Simone, Chantel, Tasha, Nina, Keisha, and a few other friends I had reconnected with. We had food and music and laughter. To Naomi, Simone raised her glass. Who showed us all what strength looks like. Everyone cheered. I looked around at these faces, these people who supported me, who never gave up on me even when I had disappeared into my marriage. Thank you, I said. All of you. For reminding me who I am. We danced in my living room to old school R&B. We told stories and laughed until we cried. It was perfect. Around midnight, after everyone left, I walked through my quiet house. My house. No one else's. The mortgage was in my name now. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every choice was mine. I went to the master bedroom and looked around. This room held so many memories, not all of them good. Tomorrow I decided I would redecorate. New paint, new bedding, new everything. This was my fresh start, and I wanted every room to reflect that. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Naomi, it's Brandon. Please. I need to talk to you. I made a terrible mistake. Can we meet? I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me was curious what he would say. What excuses he would make. Whether he'd actually apologize or just try to manipulate me back into his life. But I didn't need to know. His words didn't matter anymore. I blocked the number and put my phone down. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a run. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I ran farther than usual, feeling strong and capable. When I got home, I showered and looked at my calendar. The next few weeks were packed with client meetings, project deadlines, and the speaking engagement. I also had my dance class, dinner plans with friends, and a weekend trip to visit Chantel's family. My life was full. Not full of responsibilities to someone else, but full of things I chose. Things that made me happy. I spent the weekend redecorating my bedroom. New sage green paint on the walls. White bedding with yellow accent pillows. Fresh flowers on the nightstand. It looked nothing like before. It looked like mine. Sunday evening, I was painting in my studio when Taylor texted me. Just saw your ex at the coffee shop. He was with that woman, Judy. They were arguing. He looked miserable. Thought you'd want to know. I didn't respond. I didn't need to know about Brandon's misery. It wasn't my concern. I had my own happiness to focus on. Monday morning, I met with the restaurant group to present my branding concepts. I had worked hard on these designs, pouring creativity and strategy into every element. This is incredible, the owner said, looking through my presentation. You really understand our vision. Thank you. I tried to capture the soul of what you're building. You did more than that. You elevated it. When can you start? Immediately. We shook hands and I left with a signed contract for my biggest project yet. In my car, I allowed myself a moment of pure joy. This was my life now. Building something meaningful, being valued for my talent, making my own decisions. Brandon had told Judy I was boring, that I didn't try anymore. He was wrong. I was never boring. I was just dimmed by trying to shine in his shadow. Now I was in my own light and I was brilliant. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, my life looked completely different. My business had grown beyond anything I imagined. I had hired 2 more assistants and was looking at office space because my home studio couldn't handle the workload anymore. The design conference went well. I spoke to a room of 200 people about building a business after personal upheaval. I didn't mention Brandon by name, but I talked about reclaiming your power and trusting your talent. The applause at the end was thunderous. 3 people approached me afterward asking if I did coaching. I didn't, but I was considering it. You're a completely different person, Chantel said when she visited that weekend. In the best way. I'm the same person I always was. I just forgot for a while. Well, I'm glad you remembered. We were having coffee on my back porch, which I had transformed with plants and comfortable furniture. This house felt like mine now, inside and out. Can I ask you something? Chantel said carefully. Are you open to dating again? Maybe. Eventually. I'm not actively looking, but I'm not opposed to it either. Good. Because you deserve someone who sees your value. I see my own value now. That's what matters. The next week, I attended a business conference in Chicago. It was a networking event for creative entrepreneurs, and I was excited to connect with other designers and business owners. The first day was full of panels and workshops. I took notes and exchanged business cards with dozens of people. During lunch, I sat at a table with other attendees and we talked about our businesses and challenges. What brought you to Chicago? A man across from me asked. He was tall with kind eyes and an easy smile. Networking. Growing my business. Learning from others. Same. I own a bookstore and art gallery in Denver. Always looking for ways to support local artists better. That's amazing. What kind of art do you feature? His name was Isaiah, and he was passionate about creating community spaces where art and literature could thrive. We talked through the entire lunch break, discovering we had similar philosophies about business and creativity. Would you want to grab coffee after today's sessions? He asked. I'd love to hear more about your design work. Sure. That sounds nice. That evening we sat in a quiet coffee shop near the conference center and talked for hours. Isaiah told me about his journey from corporate job to bookstore owner. I told him about rebuilding my design business. I didn't mention the divorce. That wasn't what this conversation was about. You have an incredible energy, Isaiah said. Like you really love what you do. I do. I love creating things. Helping businesses tell their stories visually. I can tell. It's inspiring. We exchanged numbers before parting ways and he promised to keep in touch. Over the next few weeks, Isaiah and I texted occasionally. Nothing intense, just friendly conversations about work and life. He sent me pictures of new art installations in his gallery. I sent him designs I was working on. It was easy. Comfortable. No pressure. One evening he called instead of texting. I'm coming to your city next month for a book fair. Would you want to have dinner? I hesitated for just a second. Not because I didn't want to, but because I was checking in with myself. Was I ready for this? Yes, I was. I'd like that. Great. I'll text you when I have my travel dates. After we hung up, Simone called and I told her about Isaiah. Wait, you're going on a date? That's huge. It's just dinner with someone I met at a conference. It's a date, Naomi. And that's wonderful. You deserve to have someone kind in your life. I'm not looking for a relationship though. I'm happy with where I am. You can be happy alone and still be open to meeting someone. Those aren't mutually exclusive. She had a point. The night before Isaiah was supposed to arrive in town, Brandon called from yet another new number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Naomi. Thank God. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Brandon? I need to see you. Face to face. There are things I need to say. Then say them now. Not like this. Please. Just one coffee. That's all I'm asking. No. Naomi, I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. Leaving you was wrong. Being with Judy was wrong. I see that now. I felt nothing hearing these words. No satisfaction, no anger, no pain. Nothing. It doesn't matter what you see now. It's too late. It's not too late. We can start over. I still love you. No, you don't. You never did. You loved having someone who made your life easy. You loved having someone who asked for nothing while giving you everything. That's not love. That's convenience. That's not fair. It's completely fair. And I'm done with this conversation. Don't call me again. Are you seeing someone else? Is that what this is about? I laughed. That's what you think this is about? Brandon, this isn't about anyone else. This is about me finally respecting myself enough to never let you back in my life. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked the number immediately. The next evening, I met Isaiah at a restaurant downtown. He looked good, dressed casually but put together. We hugged hello and it felt natural. Over dinner, we talked about everything. Our families, our dreams, our fears. Isaiah told me about his divorce 5 years ago, how it had devastated him but ultimately led him to open his bookstore. I thought my life was over, he said. Turns out it was just beginning. I know that feeling. You were married before? Yes. Divorced 6 months ago. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was the best thing that could have happened to me. He smiled. That's a healthy perspective. It took me a while to get here. But yeah, I mean it. Being divorced forced me to find myself again. I built a business I love. I reconnected with friends. I remembered who I was before I tried to be who someone else needed me to be. That's beautiful. We talked until the restaurant started closing. Outside, Isaiah walked me to my car. I had a really good time tonight, he said. Me too. Can I see you again? Maybe next time I can visit without a book fair excuse. I smiled. I'd like that. He hugged me goodbye and I drove home feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not love, not yet. But possibility. The possibility that I could be complete on my own and still choose to share my life with someone. That opening my heart again didn't mean losing myself. That night, I wrote in my journal about the evening. About how easy it felt to talk to Isaiah. How he listened and asked questions and seemed genuinely interested in my life. But I also wrote about how I wasn't rushing into anything. How I wanted to take my time and make sure I never again gave up pieces of myself for someone else's comfort. I was learning that love shouldn't require sacrifice. Real love should be about two complete people choosing to grow together, not one person shrinking so the other can expand. I didn't know if Isaiah would be part of my future. Maybe yes, maybe no. Either way, I was going to be fine. Because the most important love story I had written this year was the one between me and myself. And that story had a happy ending guaranteed. 1 year after Brandon walked out of my kitchen, I woke up in my newly redecorated bedroom and smiled before I even opened my eyes. It was a Saturday morning, and I had nowhere to be until noon. I made coffee and sat on my back porch watching the sun rise over my garden. I had planted flowers and herbs last spring, and they had grown into something beautiful. Kind of like me. My phone buzzed with a calendar reminder. Anniversary of Freedom, it read. I had marked the date a year ago, not as a day of pain but as a day of rebirth. I scrolled through my photos from the past year. Pictures of my new office space, the sleek modern suite where my team of 5 now worked. Pictures from the design conference where I had keynote. Pictures of my paintings hanging in a local gallery that Isaiah had connected me with. Pictures of me smiling, truly happy. My business had tripled in size. I was turning down clients because I couldn't take on more work. I had been featured in a design magazine. I had started that coaching program people asked about, helping other women rebuild their businesses after major life changes. The money was good, better than I ever imagined. But the real wealth was in how I felt when I woke up each morning. Excited, purposeful, free. Simone's salon had opened 3 months ago, and it was thriving. I had designed her entire brand, and we had celebrated together when she cut the ribbon on opening day. We did it, she had said, hugging me tight. We both built what we wanted. Yes, we did. My relationship with Isaiah had developed slowly and beautifully. He visited every few weeks and I had flown to Denver twice. We talked every day but gave each other space. It was healthy and balanced and nothing like my marriage had been. I like how you never lose yourself when you're with me, he had said during his last visit. I worked too hard to find myself to ever lose me again. He had kissed me then and it felt right. Not rushed, not forced. Just right. But I also knew I would be perfectly fine if Isaiah and I didn't work out. I wasn't building my happiness around another person anymore. He enhanced my life, but he wasn't the foundation of it. I was my own foundation now. Around 10, Chantel called. Happy Freedom Day. I laughed. You remembered. Of course I remembered. Want to celebrate tonight? I'm buying dinner. Actually, I have plans. But lunch tomorrow? Perfect. What are your plans for tonight? Isaiah is in town. We're going to that new art exhibit downtown. Look at you all happy and coupled up. Happily dating. There's a difference. A good difference. I'm proud of you, Naomi. You could have let Brandon destroy you. Instead, you built something amazing. After we hung up, I got ready for my day. I had a few hours before meeting Isaiah, so I went to my studio and painted. I was working on a series about transformation, about women finding their power. The latest piece showed a woman made of light, breaking through darkness, arms spread wide in victory. It was my favorite so far. My phone rang. A known number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Naomi? It's Judy. I hadn't heard from her since the grocery store incident over a year ago. I should have hung up immediately, but curiosity kept me on the line. What do you want? I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. What I did was wrong. How I treated you was cruel. I was so caught up in my own feelings that I didn't think about the damage I was causing. Okay. Silence on her end, probably expecting more from me. That's it? She finally asked. Just okay? What else do you want me to say, Judy? I appreciate the apology, but it doesn't change what happened. You and Brandon made choices that destroyed my marriage. I've moved past it. Have you really? Because I haven't. I still wake up ashamed of what I did. That's something you need to work through. It's not my job to make you feel better about your guilt. I know. I just wanted you to know that Brandon and I aren't together anymore. Haven't been for months. It fell apart almost immediately after you two divorced. I don't need to know that. He regrets everything. He tried to get you back, didn't he? Yes. And you said no. Of course I said no. Why would I go back to someone who treated me like I was nothing? I think he finally understands what he lost. Good for him. Is there anything else? No. I just wanted to apologize. You didn't deserve what we did to you. You're right. I didn't. But I'm grateful it happened because it led me to the life I have now. So in a weird way, thank you. Goodbye, Judy. I hung up before she could respond and blocked the number immediately. I felt nothing hearing about Brandon's regret or their failed relationship. No satisfaction, no vindication, nothing. They were characters in a story I no longer read. That afternoon, I met Isaiah at the art exhibit. He kissed my cheek in greeting and we walked through the gallery hand in hand, discussing the artwork and the artist's techniques. You should have your own exhibit, he said, stopping in front of a piece that reminded him of my work. Maybe someday. I'm focused on the business right now. I'm just saying you're talented enough. If you ever want to, I'd love to feature you in my gallery. I'll think about it. We had dinner at my favorite restaurant, talking and laughing easily. Isaiah told me about a new author he was excited about. I told him about the coaching program I was developing. You're glowing, he said, looking at me across the table. I'm happy. I can tell. It's beautiful to see. Later we walked through downtown, not in a hurry to end the evening. At one point, Isaiah stopped and turned to me. I need to tell you something. Okay. I'm falling in love with you. I know we're taking things slow and I'm not asking you to say it back. I just wanted you to know. My heart did a little flip. Not from fear but from joy. Thank you for telling me. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm open to getting there. That's all I need to hear. He kissed me gentle and sweet and I kissed him back. This time, I wasn't afraid of losing myself. I knew who I was now and I wasn't going anywhere. That night, alone in my house, I looked around at everything I had built. The successful business. The beautiful space. The meaningful friendships. The healthy relationship that was developing without rushing or forcing. This was my life. Mine. I had built it from the ashes of my marriage, from the pain of betrayal, from the darkest moment when I thought I had nothing left. Turns out, I had everything I needed inside me all along. My phone buzzed one last time. Another unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to look. It was a text from Brandon. I know you won't read this, but I need to say it anyway. You were right about everything. I was selfish and cruel. I took you for granted. I destroyed the best thing in my life. I'm sorry. I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. I read it once. Then I blocked the number and deleted the message. His apology didn't matter. His regret didn't change anything. He was part of my past, and I was living in my present, building my future. I went to my bedroom, the room I had completely transformed, and looked at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back at me was strong, confident, radiant. We did it, I whispered to my reflection. We're free. And I was. Truly, completely free. Free from a marriage that diminished me. Free from trying to be someone I wasn't. Free from settling for less than I deserved. I climbed into my comfortable bed in my beautiful house, surrounded by the life I built with my own hands, and fell asleep with a smile on my face. Brandon had said, "It's over, I'm with Judy," thinking he was choosing happiness. Instead, he gave me permission to choose myself. And that choice had led me to something better than I ever imagined. Not just freedom from him. Freedom to be completely, unapologetically, brilliantly me. That was the real happy ending. Not finding someone new, though Isaiah was wonderful. Not business success, though that was fulfilling. The happy ending was finding myself again and realizing I was enough. I always had been. I just needed to believe it. And now I did.